The invitation came out of nowhere, a simple text from Haley. Movie night at our place? Hannah's out with friends, but I'd love the company. I stared at my phone, heart skipping a beat for reasons I couldn't quite place. Haley had always been the cool mom, the one who baked cookies during sleepovers and listened to our teenage rants without judgment. But lately, her glances lingered a little too long, her touches, a hand on my arm, a hug that lasted an extra second, felt charged with something unspoken. I arrived at their cozy suburban home in Seattle that evening, the rain pattering softly against the windows like a prelude to the storm brewing inside me. Haley opened the door with her signature warm smile, her blue eyes lighting up as she pulled me into a quick embrace. "Riley, you made it. Come in, I've got popcorn ready and that indie film you mentioned last time." As we settled on the couch, the dim glow of the TV casting shadows across the room, I felt a strange tension in the air, thicker than the plot unfolding on screen. Midway through the movie, Haley paused it abruptly, turning to me with an intensity that made my stomach twist. "Riley, there's something I need to tell you. I've been holding this in for years, watching you grow into this incredible woman, and I can't pretend anymore. I'm in love with you." The words hung between us like a grenade with the pin pulled, exploding every assumption I had about our lives. My mind raced. Haley, Hannah's mom, the woman who'd bandaged my scraped knees as a kid, confessing romantic love? I was 22, fresh out of college, still figuring out my own tangled feelings about women. And here she was 45, married once, divorced now, laying her heart bare. Panic surged through me. What about Hannah, my best friend since elementary school? We'd shared everything, secrets, dreams, heartbreaks. Betraying her like this would destroy us all. But as Haley's hand reached for mine, her voice trembling with vulnerability, a part of me, buried deep, whispered that maybe this was what I'd been missing all along. That night I didn't run. Instead, I sat there frozen as she poured out her story. The loneliness after her divorce from Hannah's dad. The quiet realization of her attraction to women that she'd suppressed for decades under the weight of societal expectations. "I married young because that's what everyone did in our small town," she said, her eyes glistening. "But being with him never felt right. And then you were always so kind, so alive. It started as admiration, but it grew into something I can't ignore." My thoughts swirled in chaos. Was this real, or was I projecting my own confusion onto her? I'd had crushes on girls before, fleeting and unspoken, but never acted on them. The fear of judgment from friends, family, society had kept me silent. Now, faced with Haley's confession, that fear clashed with an unexpected pull, a curiosity that made my pulse quicken. We talked until the early hours, the movie forgotten. Haley didn't push. She just shared, her words weaving a tapestry of regret and hope. "I know this is wrong on so many levels," she admitted, her voice cracking. "Hannah would never forgive me. But denying who I am has cost me everything already." Inside, I battled my own demons. Loyalty to Hannah, who was like a sister, versus this forbidden spark that ignited something dormant in me. What if exploring this meant losing her? The thought gnawed at me, a moral quandary that twisted my gut. By dawn, as I left her house, the rain had stopped, but the storm in my mind raged on. I couldn't tell Hannah, not yet. The secret burrowed deep, a seed of betrayal that would soon sprout into something uncontrollable. Over the next few days I avoided Hannah's calls, guilt eating at me like acid. Every time my phone buzzed, I imagined her innocent face, oblivious to the fracture forming in our trio. Haley texted once, "I understand if you need space. Just know I'm here." Space? I needed a chasm to sort through the mess. My family back in Portland was conservative, church-going folks who'd freak if they knew I was even questioning my sexuality. "Stick to the straight and narrow," my dad always said, his words echoing like a warning. But Haley's confession had cracked that facade, forcing me to confront the truth. I'd felt drawn to her for months, her confidence, her laugh, the way she saw through my defenses. Was it love, or just rebellion against the norms suffocating me? The internal conflict intensified as I replayed the night in my head. Part of me wanted to dismiss it as a midlife crisis on her end, but her eyes had been too sincere, her pain too raw. I found myself driving aimlessly, thoughts drifting to what ifs. What if I reciprocated? The age gap alone would invite whispers, judgments from strangers labeling us predators or perverts. Society's lens on lesbian relationships was already warped. Adding intergenerational drama would amplify the hate. Yet, denying it felt like self-betrayal, a surrender to the very prejudices I'd internalized. By the end of the week, I made a decision that would alter everything. I texted Haley back. "We need to talk. In person." The reply came instantly. "My place tomorrow?" As I hit send, a wave of dread mixed with exhilaration washed over me. This was the point of no return, where choices birthed consequences I wasn't ready to face. The next afternoon, I pulled up to Haley's house, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. Hannah was at work, blissfully unaware, which only heightened my guilt. Haley greeted me at the door, her expression a mix of hope and apprehension. Dressed in a simple sundress that made her look younger, more vulnerable. We sat in the kitchen, the same spot where she'd helped Hannah and me with homework years ago, now charged with adult secrets. "Riley, I didn't mean to overwhelm you," she began, but I cut her off, my voice steadier than I felt. "It's not just you. I've been feeling something too, but this could ruin everything." We delved deeper, unpacking layers of emotion that had built up over time. Haley spoke of her suppressed identity, how she'd married Hannah's father to fit the mold of the perfect wife and mother in their conservative community. I loved him as a friend, but romantically? It was empty. After the divorce, I dated men to keep up appearances, but it never clicked. Her confession mirrored my own struggles. I dated boys in high school to blend in, ignoring the butterflies I felt around certain girls. "What about Hannah?" I pressed, the name like a dagger. Haley's face crumpled. "She'd be devastated. I'm her mom. I'm supposed to protect her, not steal her best friend." The moral weight pressed down, a debate raging in my mind. Was pursuing this selfish, or was it honest living? Society preached family first, but at what cost to personal truth? As hours passed, our conversation turned intimate, not physically but emotionally. We shared fears, hers of being outed in her professional circle as a teacher, mine of disappointing my parents. "They'd disown me," I whispered, tears welling. Haley reached across the table, her touch electric yet comforting. "We don't have to rush, but ignoring this feels like dying inside." That night, we agreed to meet secretly, testing the waters away from prying eyes. It started innocently. A coffee shop in a neighboring town, walks in parks where no one knew us. Each encounter peeled back more layers, revealing Haley's depth. Her passion for literature, her quiet activism for LGBTQ rights through anonymous donations. I saw her not as Hannah's mom, but as a woman trapped by expectations much like me. Yet, the secrecy bred paranoia. Every time Hannah texted about hanging out, I fabricated excuses, my lies stacking like Jenga blocks ready to topple. "What's up with you lately?" she asked one day over lunch. I forced a smile, heart pounding. "Just job stress." Inside, I screamed at myself. "You're betraying her for what? A fling?" But it wasn't a fling. Feelings deepened with each stolen moment. Haley and I shared dreams, her of traveling freely, me of pursuing art without judgment. The age difference, once a barrier, became a bridge. Her experience guided my uncertainties, while my youth reignited her hope. But doubts crept in. Was I using her to explore my identity, or was this genuine? The ethical tightrope wobbled, threatening to snap. One evening, during a clandestine dinner, Haley broached the inevitable. "We can't hide forever. Hannah deserves the truth." Panic flared. "And lose her? She's family to me." Haley nodded, pain etching her features. "I know. But living a lie is poisoning us all." That conversation haunted me, fueling nightmares of confrontation. Society's voice echoed. "Lesbian relationships are fine in theory, but with a friend's mom? Taboo." The pressure mounted, internal conflicts clashing like thunder. I weighed the damage, shattering Hannah's trust versus suppressing my heart. In quieter moments, I admitted the truth. I was falling for Haley, her strength, her tenderness. But love demanded sacrifice, and I wasn't sure what I'd give up. Weeks blurred into a haze of euphoria and torment. Our meetings grew bolder, but so did the risks. Once, we nearly ran into a mutual acquaintance at a bookstore, forcing us to part ways abruptly. The close call amplified my anxiety, What if word got out? My job at the local gallery was precarious. Rumors could end it. Haley faced worse. Parental backlash from school boards if her orientation surfaced. We've got to be careful, she urged, but caution felt like chains. Internally, I battled self-doubt. Am I queer enough to claim this or just experimenting? The societal narrative of phases mocked me, eroding confidence. Yet Haley's unwavering support bolstered me, her words a lifeline. This is real for me, Riley. Is it for you? The turning point came subtly, in a moment of raw honesty. Lying in a park, heads close but not touching, she confessed her deepest fear. If this ends badly, I'll lose both of you. Tears streamed down my face as I realized the stakes. This wasn't just romance. It was a war against ingrained prejudices, family loyalties, and personal ethics. I chose to dive deeper, but the cost loomed, a shadow lengthening with each passing day. The high of our connection clashed with the dread of exposure, building tension like a coiled spring. Little did I know the spring was about to snap. The confrontation erupted on a rainy Saturday, unforeseen and brutal. Hannah showed up at my apartment unannounced, her face stormy. Riley, we need to talk. Now. My heart plummeted. Had she found out? I ushered her in, feigning calm while my mind raced through alibis. She paced the living room, eyes flashing. You've been distant for months. Canceling plans, vague excuses. What's going on? Are you seeing someone? The question hit like a punch. Technically yes, but the someone was her mother. Guilt choked me. How could I lie to her face? It's complicated, I muttered, avoiding her gaze. Hannah stopped, crossing her arms. Complicated how? We're best friends. We tell each other everything. Inside, a storm raged. Loyalty demanded confession, but fear paralyzed me. Hannah had always been my rock, supporting me through breakups and family drama. Betraying her felt like self-sabotage. It's personal, I hedged, but she pressed on. Mom's been weird too, distracted, secretive. Is there something I should know? The irony twisted like a knife. Haley and I had agreed to tell her together, but timing slipped away. As Hannah's suspicion grew, I cracked. Hannah, sit down. This is going to hurt. Her eyes widened, a mix of curiosity and dread. Taking a deep breath, I spilled it all: the movie night, the confession, our secret meetings. Words tumbled out, laced with apologies. I'm so sorry. It just happened. Her reaction was a whirlwind. Shock morphing into rage. My mom? You're in love with my mom. She laughed bitterly, tears streaming. This is some sick joke, right? I shook my head, reaching for her, but she recoiled. How could you? Both of you. I'm your family, Riley. And Mom, God, what about Dad? The divorce wrecked us, and now this. The room filled with her accusations, each one a valid strike against our choices. Internally, I agreed. We'd been selfish, prioritizing desire over bonds. But Haley's love had awakened me, challenging the heteronormative cage I'd lived in. Was that justification enough? Society would say no, branding us homewreckers. Hannah stormed out, slamming the door, leaving me in ruins. I called Haley immediately, voice breaking. She knows. She hates us. Haley arrived within the hour, her face ashen. What did she say? We huddled together, piecing through the fallout. She feels betrayed, like we've stolen from her. Haley nodded, guilt etched deep. I deserved that. As her mother, I should have protected her heart. The ethical dilemma intensified. Parental duty versus personal fulfillment. Haley had sacrificed years for Hannah's stability. Now pursuing happiness seemed like abandonment. My own parents loomed in my thoughts. If they learned, their disapproval could sever ties. We're freaks, they'd say, echoing conservative echoes. The next days were a blur of damage control. Hannah ignored our calls, blocking us on social media. Whispers spread. Friends texted questions, judgment veiled as concern. Is it true about you and Mrs. Thompson? The societal backlash hit hard. In progressive Seattle, even acceptance had limits for such scandals. I lost sleep, tormented by what-ifs. What if I'd rejected Haley from the start? Would Hannah still be my friend? The internal tug-of-war peaked. Love's joy versus destruction's pain. Haley and I clung to each other, but cracks formed. Maybe we should end this, I suggested one night, tears flowing. She shook her head. Not without fighting for what's right. But what was right? Morality blurred in the gray of human desire. Family pressure escalated when Hannah confronted Haley at home. I wasn't there, but Haley recounted it later, voice trembling. She screamed, accused me of being a bad mother, of ruining her life. Hannah dredged up old wounds, the divorce, Haley's emotional distance post-separation. You were never there for me, and now you're chasing my best friend? The words cut deep, forcing Haley to face her failures. I tried to explain my sexuality, the suppression, but she wouldn't hear it. The scene highlighted the generational clash. Hannah's hurt versus Haley's awakening. Society amplified it, with norms dictating mothers sacrifice everything, no room for personal evolution. In my solitude, I reflected on the broader implications. Coming out as lesbian was hard enough. Adding taboo elements invited vilification. Friends distanced themselves, labeling our relationship inappropriate. The isolation gnawed, but it also clarified. This love, flawed as it was, felt authentic. Yet the cost, Hannah's trust, potential family rifts, demanded reckoning. We decided to give her space, hoping time would heal. But tension built, a powder keg of emotions waiting for the spark. Little by little, the drama unfolded, each decision a step toward inevitable climax. Weeks turned into months of strained silence, the rift with Hannah a gaping wound. Haley and I navigated our relationship in shadows, meeting sparingly to avoid fueling rumors. But the secrecy eroded us. Every kiss tasted of guilt, every touch reminded of the price. We can't live like this, Haley said one evening in a quiet cafe, her eyes weary. Hannah's suffering, and so are we. I nodded, the internal battle fierce. Cling to love or release for peace. Morality whispered sacrifice, but heart screamed defiance. Society's judgment loomed. Articles on age gap relationships painted us as cautionary tales, ignoring the nuance of consent and emotion. The high point of tension came at a family gathering Haley hosted, ostensibly for reconciliation. Hannah attended reluctantly, her presence a reluctant olive branch. The air crackled with unspoken accusations as we sat around the dinner table. Pass the salt, Hannah said flatly, avoiding eye contact. Inside I churned. This was my chance to mend, but at what cost to Haley? Midway through, Hannah exploded. How can you two sit here like nothing happened? Mom, you're supposed to be my role model, not some homewrecker. Haley flinched but held firm. Hannah, I love you more than anything. But I also love Riley. Denying that would be lying to myself, and to you. The argument escalated, voices rising in a cacophony of hurt. Hannah accused Haley of selfishness. You divorced Dad because you were unhappy, fine. But this? Stealing my friend. I interjected, voice shaking. It wasn't stealing. It evolved naturally. But Hannah turned on me. Naturally? You're 22. She's old enough to know better. This is betrayal, pure and simple. The word stung, highlighting the power imbalance society fixated on. Internally I questioned. Was I naive, manipulated? No, our connection was mutual, built on shared vulnerabilities. But doubt seeded, amplified by Hannah's pain. Haley defended us, revealing her journey. I've hidden my true self for decades, fearing exactly this, rejection from my own child. Tears flowed as she spoke of therapy sessions, the slow acceptance of her lesbian identity. I didn't choose this to hurt you. Hannah softened slightly, but resentment lingered. What about me? My friends are whispering, my life's a mess because of your awakening. The confrontation exposed raw truths. Family bonds tested against personal authenticity. Haley offered an olive branch. Let's talk this out as a family. But Hannah stormed off again, leaving us shattered. Post-confrontation, the fallout rippled wider. My parents caught wine through gossip, calling an outrage. Riley, this is unnatural, my mom said over the phone, her voice laced with disappointment. Think about your future, jobs, marriage, kids. The pressure crushed. Conform or be ostracized. I defended fiercely. This is who I am, Mom. Haley makes me happy. But happiness felt tainted by the damage. Haley faced similar at work. Colleagues side-eyed her. Parents questioned her influence on students. Is it worth it? She asked me one night, doubt creeping. My response. If we give up, society wins. But internally the ethical quandary peaked. Prioritize self or others? A betrayal from an unexpected quarter deepened the drama. One of Hannah's friends, jealous or spiteful, leaked our story online. An anonymous post on a local forum detailing the scandalous affair. Comments poured in. Disgusting. Poor kid. Age gap predator. The digital mob amplified prejudices, turning private pain public. Haley broke down. This could cost me my job. I held her, rage boiling at the injustice. Why were straight relationships spared this scrutiny? The incident forced a choice. Fight back or retreat. We chose to address it head-on, Haley coming out publicly in a small support group, me confiding in select friends. But the toll mounted, each step a sacrifice. As climax built, Hannah reached out tentatively, a text. We need to meet. Alone. I agreed, heart-pounding. At a neutral park, she unloaded. I've been thinking. It hurts, but maybe I overreacted. Relief flooded, but she added conditions. If you two are serious, prove it without hiding. The conversation shifted dynamics, hinting at acceptance but demanding accountability. Internally I weighed, could we rebuild? The path forward promised more trials, but hope flickered. Yet, the drama's intensity left scars, reminding that love's pursuit exacted heavy prices. Reconciliation crept in slowly, a fragile bridge over the chasm we'd created. Hannah's meeting with me evolved into cautious family sessions, mediated by a therapist Haley suggested. We all need healing, Haley said, her voice steady despite the strain. In those sessions, layers peeled. Hannah admitted her fear of abandonment, rooted in the divorce. Losing Dad was hard. Losing you too feels like the end. I shared my journey. Coming out through this has been terrifying but necessary. Haley owned her mistakes. I should have been honest sooner. The dialogues were tense, filled with tears and accusations, but progress emerged. Understanding over blame. Society's shadow lingered, though. Even as we mended internally, external judgments persisted. At a pride event Haley and I attended, our first public outing, stares followed, whispers about the odd couple. Ignore them, Haley urged, but it stung. Internally, I battled residual doubt. Was our love strong enough to withstand perpetual scrutiny? The moral debates raged on. Had we been right to pursue this, knowing the fallout? Hannah's gradual acceptance helped. I see how happy you make each other. It weirds me out, but I'll try. Her words were a balm, but the cost remained evident in strained holidays, awkward gatherings. As months passed, our relationship solidified, built on hard-won truths. Haley quit her teaching job for a less public role in counseling, helping others navigate similar paths. This is my awakening, she said, pride in her eyes. I pursued my art with renewed vigor, channeling the drama into pieces exploring identity and taboo. But scars lingered. Lost friends, family distance. My parents thawed slowly, attending one dinner but remaining guarded. We love you, but this is hard, Dad admitted. The sacrifices piled. Privacy invaded, trust rebuilt brick by brick. Yet, in quiet moments, Haley's hand in mine affirmed the choice. The ultimate test came when Hannah started dating a woman, ironically. Guess it's genetic, she joked tentatively over coffee. The revelation bridged us further, her own coming out softening past hurts. Seeing you two fight for this inspired me. But it also highlighted ironies. Her ease contrasted our struggles, generational progress amid lingering biases. Internally, I reflected. Our pain paved her path, a bittersweet legacy. Society evolved, but slowly. Laws protected, but hearts judged. In the end, we emerged transformed, stronger, yet marked by the journey. Haley and I planned a quiet commitment ceremony, Hannah as witness, symbolizing mended bonds. The drama's echoes faded, replaced by cautious optimism. But questions lingered, ethical quandaries unresolved in the gray of human experience. We'd chosen love over convention, betrayal birthing growth. Was it worth the wreckage? Was it morally right to pursue a forbidden love if it leads to personal truth, even at the expense of shattering family trust? The path to this fragile peace was paved with more confrontations than I cared to count. After the therapy sessions began, Hannah's anger resurfaced in waves, each one a reminder of the depth of her wound. How do I explain this to my future kids? She'd ask, voice laced with frustration. Haley would respond with patience, drawing from her own regrets. By telling them love isn't always neat, but it's worth fighting for. My role was often mediator, balancing my loyalty to both while grappling with my own guilt. Internally, I questioned every step. Had I been too impulsive, too selfish? The societal mirror reflected back distortions. Media stories of similar relationships often ended in tragedy, fueling my fears. But real life defied scripts. Our persistence chipped away at the barriers. One pivotal moment came during a heated session when Hannah revealed she'd known about Haley's orientation subconsciously for years. "The way you looked at women in movies, Mom, it clicked now." The admission shifted blame to understanding, highlighting how suppression breeds collateral damage. "I hid to protect you," Haley confessed, tears flowing. "But it hurt us all." The ethical layers unfolded. Deception versus protection. A parent's dilemma in a judgmental world. For me, it validated our struggle. Haley's silence had been a cage, our love the key. Yet, the price. Hannah's therapy bills, my strained friendships, Haley's career pivot. Each a testament to the costs of authenticity. As we integrated back into social circles, challenges persisted. At a neighborhood barbecue, judgmental glances from old acquaintances tested our resolve. "How's the family?" one asked slyly. Haley smiled politely. "Better than ever." Inside, rage simmered at the hypocrisy. Straight couples with affairs got passes, but we were spectacles. The double standard fueled my activism. I started a blog anonymizing our story, sparking discussions on LGBTQ family dynamics. Responses varied. Support from allies, vitriol from traditionalists. It amplified the societal conflict, but also connected us to others in similar binds. Hannah's own romance brought unexpected healing. Her girlfriend, Mia, joined family dinners, her presence normalizing our setup. "This is weird but kinda cool," Hannah admitted one night. The laughter that followed was genuine, a rare light amid the drama. But it didn't erase the past. Betrayals left imprints, decisions echoes. Haley and I grew closer through it, our bond tempered by fire. "We paid dearly," she reflected. "But I choose you again." My heart echoed the sentiment, yet the moral ambiguity persisted. Right and wrong intertwined in love's complexity. Ultimately, the story wasn't about triumph or tragedy, but the messy in-between. We navigated forward, aware of the fragility. The awakening, for all of us, came at a steep price, but it birthed truths long buried. As we stood together, the weight of choices settled, prompting eternal reflection. Was it morally right to pursue a forbidden love if it leads to personal truth, even at the expense of shattering family trust?